Hey guys, so this is a review for our upcoming midterm exam. So for our first example, we are going to convert decimal into binary. So we have here a decimal number which is 18 and we're going to convert into a binary number. So first step, just divide 18 by 2. So we have here 18 divided by 2, so it's equal to 9.0. Okay, and then to determine our remainder, we're just going to multiply 0 and then 2. So 0 times 2, our remainder will be equal to 0. Next, copy the whole number, which is 9. So 9 divided by 2 equal to 4.5. Okay, again, to determine our remainder, we're going to multiply the fractional part, which is 0.5 to 2. So 0.5 times 2 is equal to 1. Then copy ang fraction whole number, which is 4 divide again by 2 is equal to 2.0. Then for our remainder, 0 times 2 is equal to 0. Then copy ang whole number, 2 divided by 2. So we have 1.0. Again, our remainder is multiply lang ang 0 times 2. So our remainder is 0. Then finally, 1 divided by 2 is equal to 0.5. So for our remainder, we're going to multiply 0.5 and 2. So remainder is equal to 1. And then if 0 are not a whole number, it means that we have already determined the most significant bit, and this would be our least significant bit. And then we are going to write our answers starting from the most significant bit paato sa least significant bit. So for our final answer, we have 18 base 10, which is a decimal, is equal to, start kita sa most significant bit, 1, 0, 0, 1, and then finally 0 base 2. So that is our final answer. Okay, so for our second example, we are going to convert decimal into octal. So 311, since ga-convert kita sa octal, this time we're going to divide it by 8. So 311 divided by 8, we get the answer, which is 38.875. Okay, now to determine our remainder, we're going to multiply 0.875 times 8. So our answer would be equal to 7. And then copy lang ang whole number, which is 38. So 38 divided by 8 is equal to 4.75. Again, to determine our remainder, we're just going to multiply 0.75 times 8. So equal na sa 6. Then copy our whole number, which is 4, then divided by 8. Okay. So 4 divided by 8, answer is 0.5. Then for our remainder, so 0.5 times 8 is equal to 4. So if our whole number is 0, then it means that this is already our most significant bit. So we're going to write our answer starting from the most significant bit pado sa least significant bit. So, 311 in decimal is equal to 4, 6, 7 in octal. Okay, so for our next example, we are going to convert decimal to hexadecimal. So we have 43. We're going to divide it by, since we're going to convert by to hexadecimal, so we're going to divide this one by 16. So 43 divided by 16 is equal to 2.687 5. Okay. Again, to determine our remainder, we are going to multiply 0.6875 to 16. So our answer is 11. And then, copy lang ang whole number, which is 2. So 2 divided by 16 is equal to 0.125. And then, to determine our remainder, we are going to multiply 0.125 times 16. So, our answer would be 2. So, once na 0 rin ang atin na whole number, we have already determined our most significant bit. So, to write our final answer, so 43 base 10 is equal to, start kita sa most significant bit, 2, and then 1 or 11. And we must remember na since we are dealing with hexadecimal numbers, 11 is equal to B. So let's replace the value of 11 by B. So final answer natin is 2. Instead of 11, add a B, base 16. Okay, so for our next example, we are going to convert binary into decimal. So let's start off by copying our given. So 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. And then we're going to introduce the exponents na 2 raised to 0, 2 raised to 1, 2 raised to 2 raised to 3, 2 raised to 4, and then 2 raised to 5. After that, we're going to determine the value of each exponent. So 2 raised to 0 is equivalent to 1, 2 raised to 1 is 2, 2 raised to 2 is equal to 4, 2 raised to 3 is equal to 8, 2 raised to 4 is equal to 16, and 2 raised to 5 is equal to 32. Okay, so once you're done, next step is we're going to multiply each binary digit sa the same column kang atin na values exponents. So 0 times 1 is equal to 0, 1 times 2 is equal to 2, 0 times 4 is equal to 0, 1 times 8 is equal to 8, 0 times 16 is equal to 0, and then 1 times 32 is equal to 32. So once you're done with multiplying, we're going to add all the values. So 32 plus 0 plus 8 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0. So it is equal to 42. Okay, so our final answer 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0 base 2 is equivalent to 42 in decimal. For our next example, we are going to convert octal into decimal. So we have here 250 in octal. So 2, 5, 0. And then we're going to introduce again the exponents. So this time, instead of 2, we're going to use 8. So 8 raised to 0, 8 raised to 1, and then 8 raised to 2. So the value of 8 raised to 0 is equal to 1. 8 raised to 1 is equal to 8. And then 8 raised to 2 is equal to 64. Okay. So next, we are going to multiply. 0 times 1 is equal to 0. 5 times 8 is equal to 40. And then 2 times 64 is equal to 128. And then we're just going to add all the values. So 128 plus 40 plus 0 is equal to 168. So for our final answer, 250 base 8 is equal to 168 base 10, or in decimal. Okay, so this time we are going to convert hexadecimal into decimal. So capital na 2 and then E. Okay. So remember, sa hexadecimal, our letters are ang sa alphabet natin is they have equivalent values. So instead of E, we're going to write 14. And then we're going to copy lang 2. So this time, pwede kita butang ka exponents. So since we're converting from hexadecimal, I'm going to write 16 raised to 0 and then 16 raised to 1. Then, so let us determine the value of 16 raised to 0 equal to na sa 1, and 16 raised to 1 is equal to 16. Next, we are going to multiply lang. So 14 times 1 is equal to 14, and then 16 times 2 is equal to 32. And then we are going to add them both. So 32 plus 14 is equal to 46. So our final answer is 2e base 16 is equivalent to 46 in decimal. Okay, so let's move to binary addition. So we have here 1010 plus 111. So following our rules for addition, we're going to solve for the sum of both binary numbers. So let's start with 0 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Then we have 1 plus 1. So for 1 plus 1, our answer would be 0, and then carry 1. Okay, so on our third column, we have 1 plus 0 is equal to 1, and then 1 plus 1 is equal to 0, carry 1, and then 1 plus 1 is equal to 0, carry 1. Then finally bring down 1. So our final answer is 10001. Okay, for our next example, we are going to subtract 1, 1, 1, 0, 1 minus 1, 0, 1, 1. So starting from the rightmost column, we're going to subtract 1 minus 1. So 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. 0 minus 1. So for 0 minus 1, we need to borrow 1 from the next column. So 0, maborrow pa 1 sa column. And this one would be 0. And then ang 0 natin nagiging 2. Then we're going to subtract. So 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. And then we have 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. then 1 minus 1 is equal to 0, and then finally bring down 1. Okay, so our next example is binary multiplication. So we have 1101 times 110. So we're going to start with the first column. So 0 times 1 is equal to 0. Then 0 times 0 is equal to 0. And then 0 times 1, 0 naman. 0 times 1 and 0. Next, we're going to move to the second digit, 1. So 1 times 1 is equal to 1. 1 times 0 is equal to 0. 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And then 1 times 1 is also equal to 1. And then finally, para sa third digit natin, 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. And then 1 times 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so after we're done with multiplication, we're going to add. So bring down lang ang 0. And then sa second column, we have 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. We have 0 plus 0 equal to 0. And then 0 plus 1 equals to 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. And then 1 plus 0 is equal to 1. Okay, now we have 1 plus 1. So 1 plus 1 is 0, carry 1. And then 1 plus 1, again 0, carry 1. And then finally bring down 1. Okay, so our final example is binary division. So here we have 1101 divided by 100. So i-write na lang ang isang na. Okay, so 100. And then we have 1, 1, 0, and then 1, 0. Okay. So, first thing we need to do is we need to compare the first 3 digits of our dividend sa divisor natin. So, our first 3 digits are 110, and it is greater than our divisor na 100. So, if it is our dividend is greater than our divisor, our quotient is equal to 1. Okay? So, multiply ta lang. So, 1 times 100, we have 1, 0, 0. So, after multiplying, we need to subtract. So, 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. And 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. After that, bring down 1. Again, we are going to compare. So, 101 is greater than 100. And if greater than na, our quotient would be equal to 1. Again, multiply lang. So, 1, 0, 0. Then we are going to subtract. So, 1 minus 0 is equal to 1. 0 minus 0, 0. 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. And then bring down 0. Okay. So, if we're going to compare 1, 0 and then 1, 0, 0, my dividend is less than my divisor. Kung less than ang dividend ko, ang quotient ko would be equal to 0. So, multiply ko lang pag ng 0 times 1, 0, 0. So, 0, 0, 0. And then, I am going to subtract. So, 0 minus 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. Then, 0 minus 0. 0 na. Okay. So, since my final difference is not equal to 0, it means that we need to continue dividing. So, in order for us to do that, we need to introduce a decimal point. And then, ma-add kita ka 0. Then bring down lang ang 0, no? Okay. Then we need to compare 1, 0, 0 compared to 1, 0, 0. My dividend and my divisor are equal. So if they are both equal, my quotient should be equal to 1. So butan ko lang ka 1. And then 1 times 1, 0, 0. So 1, 0, 0. Then I'm going to subtract. Okay. So since equal naman ang ginasubtract ko, their difference would be 0. So 0 minus 0, 0. 0 minus 0, 0. And 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. So if my final difference is 0, it means that we have already come up with our final answer.